Hey now, Matt LaBarber Music here. I wanted to walk you through some of the fundamentals of bass playing, things that will help you as far as communicating with other musicians, but also things that will help you to follow along with my videos and other videos. Things that I think are very important as far as, just the fundamentals, the basics. Okay? So the very first thing I want to talk about to make sure that we understand each other, that we're speaking the same language, is that you know the names of your strings. So the lowest string, I always talk about them from my head to my knee. The lowest string is E, like elephant. And this next string up is the A string, like apple. This is D, like dog. And this is G, like goat. I don't know why I had 3 animals and 1 fruit. Should have planned that out a little bit better. Elephant, apple, dog, goat. Okay? So a lot of times you'll hear me or other people say, this is the 6th fret on the E string, and what that refers to is, which one of these little boxes we're in and which one of these guys we're plucking. Okay, so then let's talk about frets. Frets are these little boxes, okay, in between the plastic part and the metal part. That would be your first fret, okay, and then the second fret would be in between those 2 parts. 3rd fret has a dot on it. 4th fret, no dot. 5th fret, dot. Okay, so if I said, for example, the 6th fret on my E string, that would mean this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I said to play that E string open, that means I'm just going to pluck it with no fingers. Okay, there's open, and there is the 1st fret. Okay, another very important thing to know is the finger numbers. Okay, we do have 5 fingers, most of us, but the thumb does not get one, or the thumb doesn't get a name. Okay, I'm sorry, thumb. I'm going to be talking about finger number 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pointer, middle, ring, pinky. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I said, for example, I want you to put your 4th finger on the 6th fret of your E string, that would mean I take my pinky and I go to the 6th fret on the string that is closest to my head. So I'll give you another example. Let's say I'm going to put my 1st finger on the 5th fret of the A string. So there's A, and I take my 1st finger and I put it on the 5th fret. Ta-da! Okay, that's our left hand fingers. Our right hand, most of the time, I'm going to be using in almost all my videos, not all of them, but most of my videos, I'm going to be plucking with my fingers. Now, there will be times when I'm plucking with a pick, and I'll show you that maybe in a different lesson in the future if the song calls for it. But most of the time, I like the sound of my fingers, and I also, I feel like I can play as fast as I need to, and I don't necessarily need to have a pick. So I like the sound of my fingers on the strings. One thing I would recommend that you do is to practice alternating your fingers on these open strings. See, I'm using my 1st finger, excuse me, my 1st finger, then my 2nd finger. 1st finger, 2nd finger. And then I'm switching strings. I'm going to switch to the A string. And then I'm going to switch to the D string. And then I'm going to switch to the G string. Okay? So that's a good plucking exercise to get used to. Eventually you'll be able to play a little bit faster. right? But I just started out very slow. And made sure that I was getting a good sound out of both of those fingers. The other thing that's happening that's a little bit harder to see, but I'll talk to you about it anyhow, is that I would pluck and then put my finger down on the string before I pluck the next one. So I'm going to pluck, place, pluck, place, pluck. Otherwise, do you hear how it just keeps ringing? And another thing that is probably good to do is if you're doing those open strings, you want to have this left hand resting somewhere, not on the string that you're plucking, but somewhere over here so you don't get that annoying sort of ringing sound. Okay? Then, one other thing I want to talk to you about, well, two more things I actually want to talk to you about, is where to put these guys. Okay? There are a bunch of different places along this neck that are good for resting. You'll notice here that this part of my finish is worn off of my bass because I do like to rest my fingers up here or my thumb up here. So you see, like, my thumb is kind of hanging out in this groove because I like the way that the strings sound in this area. If I move it further away from the neck of the bass, it changes the sound. It also changes the tension. So, you know, there are times where I want to play back here, or I'd play in the middle, or I'd keep my thumb up here, which obviously happens the most. That's where I'd be plucking from. Okay, so I'm going to let you experiment and just see what placement works best for you. Another thing that I often do is I rest my thumb on top of these pickups. Okay, this is a good thumb rest, and it gives you good leverage to get to the rest of the strings. Okay, so one more thing that I want to talk to you about is how to get a good sound out of your left hand. What I mean by that is that if you don't press hard enough, you get that kind of clicky sound, or even worse, that buzzy sound. Nobody likes the buzzy sound. So how I fix that is by squeezing a little bit harder, or a lot bit harder, with that finger down on the string, and also making sure that I'm not too close to the frets. If you're too close to the fret, the metal part, doesn't matter how hard you press, you're going to get that buzz. So try and keep it in the middle and a good amount of pressure. You get a lot nicer sound. Now these strings get thicker as you get closer to your head. The E string is a lot thicker than the G string, so you have to press a little bit harder to get that sound to come out. But that is, as far as our communication goes, really all that you need to know, at least to get yourself started. Eventually you'll see I'm going to do a video that'll talk to you about the names of the notes on your fretboard, and also there'll be a video that talks about the scales and numbers. That is huge as far as figuring out bass lines and being able to figure out finger positions and stuff like that. So digest all this information. I'll show you some other stuff in the future. Please like and subscribe to my channel. There's going to be lots of cool songs, or at least I think they're cool, fun content for us to go through in the future. Thanks for watching this. I hope it helped you out. I won't talk about this stuff much in the future. I'll just have you reference these videos. So thanks again, and I look forward to showing you some cool bass music.